So hi, Ves from Sofia, Bulgaria, Suchitra from Austin, Christine from Los Angeles, welcome. We have Jackie from Hawaii, and now the chat is starting to blow up. Welcome everyone from all around the world. So as you can see, Mindvalley is a pretty global and a pretty international company. Eric is in the Dominican Republic. I am in Tallinn, Estonia, and we met in Costa Rica. It was January of 2016. And I want to tell you a really crazy story of what happened when I met Eric. So for those of you who have heard the story, it's kind of become like a legendary story right now, but there is a group in the United States called the Transformational Leadership Council. And it's a group started by Jack Canfield, who's kind of a senior icon in the space of human wellness. And Jack assembled close to 150 of the top spiritual authors and writers in everything, health and fitness, in business, that basically America's top coaches are all part of this group. And if you're a coach, if you're a healer, you spend a lot of time working with a lot of people, but who heals you? Who takes care of you? And so this group is where 150 of us come together twice a year and we take care of each other. Lisa Nichols is in the group, Eric Edmeades is in the group. And so it was January 2016, and I was in Costa Rica. I just joined the group. I'd barely been there for my first year. And I see this guy, Eric Edmeades, receiving an honorary award for being one of the highest contributing members of this group. And I'm watching and I'm wondering, wow, I wonder what this guy did, because here we have all of these remarkable healers, coaches, architects of transformation, yet this man is getting an award. And then others in the group got up and they started sharing how Eric changed their life. You see, many people in the group were in their 60s. I was lucky, I was one of the youngest members, but many people there were in their 60s, in their 70s. They were the founders of America's personal growth movement. But many of them, as they had gotten older, while they had been able to be a world-renowned coach or a world-renowned spiritual teacher, they had forgotten their health. They had just let their health go. Some of the people in the group had written 50 books, but they had never bothered to study health. And one by one, these people were getting up. Ken Honda, Marie Diamond, and they were acknowledging how Eric had helped them radically transform their health. He had helped them regain energy. He'd helped them drop weight. And so I was astonished by this. You see, in 2016, I turned 40 years old. I'm 47 right now, going on 48. So I'm all of my health goals. I promised myself I was going to run a marathon at 40. Nope, did not happen. I had a dad bod, which was okay. I had a son. And Hayden was around 11 years old. I had a daughter. And so it was okay to have a dad bod. But I knew that I didn't have the courage to take my shirt off on a beach. I always kept my shirt on. I had a belly. And so in the office, I would always wear a vest. If you look at pictures of me prior to 2016, I wore a vest. The vest wasn't a fashion statement. It was to hide my belly, because otherwise there would be a bulge. I had difficulty sleeping. I was 40 years old. And I had to take 2 glasses of red wine every night before I went to bed. And one of the worst things is this: at 5 p.m. every single day, after I'd finished my 2 giant Starbucks venti lattes, I had to eat a Mars bar. In my office drawer, there was a collection of Mars bars. I was so hooked on sugar. Venti lattes from Starbucks are about, I think, 300 calories each. And sugar gets you hooked on sugar. So it gives you a spike, then you have a come down. And then I needed my Mars bar at 5 p.m. So I had the energy to plow through the end of the day and drive back home without dozing off as I drove. That was my health. And I was brilliant at mindset. Don't get me wrong. I was an incredible teacher. I built a highly successful company, but my health was mediocre or worse than average. And I accepted it. Because for 10 years, from 30 to 40, I tried everything. I went on a 5-day water fasting diet. I went to a retreat in Bali. I tried the keto diet. I tried getting a gym trainer. I tried all of these things, no results. So it was around January 20th in Costa Rica. I see all of these people raving about how Eric has changed their health. And I'm wondering, wow, I wish I joined this group last year and I'd gone through the benefits, but I got lucky. Eric got on stage, and Eric, as he claimed this award, he said, and for those of you who want me to work with you this year, I'm going to put you through my 90-day program. Now, this program wasn't available to the public. It was just something Eric did for his friends, because Eric, as you're going to hear, is brilliant, brilliant at transforming lives. And so I joined the program, and my life was never the same again. Between February to 3 months later, sorry, the program started in March, so March, April, May, so around towards the end of May, I went from 22% body fat to 14% body fat in 90 days. Today, I'm at 13% body fat. And it's now been, 2016 to 2023, it's now been 7 years. I'm still at 13% body fat. In fact, my body has gotten stronger. Today, I wouldn't dare take a Starbucks coffee. Today, I have this healthy relationship with food. Today, I am so proud to take my shirt off. And today, I don't need a Mars bar at 5 p.m. for an energy spike. Also today, I rarely drink alcohol. I just don't need it. I sleep like a baby. And people come up to me, and one of the most interesting things I get is they ask me, why do I look so much younger than 47? But it all happened despite me trying so many things. Remember, I was one of the architects of the modern personal growth movement, but Wildfit was like nothing else. And so here's where we are today. And what I want to do is I want to give you guys, because I know many of you guys are excited about Wildfit. And back when I took it, Eric, what were you charging for Wildfit back then? If someone were to go and take Wildfit as a 90-day program?
For the first 3 years, it was $1,500.
Yeah, so it was pretty expensive, right? So after I transformed my health, I brought Wildfit to my company. I had 100 employees go through it. And that 100 employees, their lives changed. Then I had my mom and dad go through it. I had my cousins go through it. Their lives changed. My mom, I mean, my mom's a really tiny lady. She lost close to 12 pounds on her 5'2" frame. You can imagine like the difference that made to her. And then I decided to bring Wildfit to Mindvalley. So in August 2016, we launched Wildfit in Mindvalley, and it was a raging success. Over 1,000 people signed up for Wildfit back then. They paid $1,500, and the results we got were amazing. So I want to play for you something really powerful to show you an idea, to take you through Wildfit, to help you understand the program. But I want to start with this little video that will help you understand the sheer power of Wildfit. And this is a video that we filmed together with the Mindvalley community just recently at Mindvalley University in Tallinn. Now, if any of you are here with us and you've done Wildfit, feel free to share in the comments what happened to you, okay? Go ahead and share in the comments. Now, for now, here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Wildfit, but we also want this presentation to be educational. We're now at 1,500 people. So you're actually going to learn mindset ideas and principles today that are going to benefit you for life. Eric, I'm going to be giving the floor to Eric. But before I do, I want to play for you this beautiful video of what recently happened at Mindvalley University. So Eric was giving a talk, and after Eric's talk in front of 800 people, I wanted to really honor him. So I turned to the audience and I said, who here has done Wildfit? And people raised their hand, and I invited people who were open to come on stage and share their Wildfit story. Observe what is about to happen. How many of you here have had your life changed by Wildfit? Please stand. Please stand. Eric, sound good? Thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite the Wildfitters to come on stage, please. So if Wildfit has transformed your life, come on stage. Look at the sheer number of people over here. Does anybody have a crazy Wildfit story of how Wildfit transformed you? Yes.
I was on antidepressants for 8 years. Wildfit, no antidepressants.
I stopped drinking alcohol as a result.
Wow.
I'm 50 pounds.
I thought I had chronic blocked nose, but it was due to dairy.
I got rid of coke and for life.
Who else? You can sleep again. Amazing. Who else?
I had enough energy to start my business at 48.
I'm 77 and I only take one medication.
77 and only one medication.
It not only changed my relationship with food, I no longer binge eat, but it changed my relationship with myself and the way that I understand my own thoughts and emotions.
I used to walk when I run.
And by the way, was it difficult or was it easier than you expected? Everyone. Everyone says easier than you expected. Everyone should do this. Thank you, guys. And so that's one of the reasons why
How many people have
this
had their life
program
changed by
is
Wildfit?
so powerful. Now, you might have heard that guy, right? There was a guy, he said, you may have not caught the word because he wasn't holding the mic properly, but he said, I used to walk with a limp. Now I can run and I can dance. There was the lady who said, I'm 70 years old. I don't take any prescription, any prescription medication. There were other case studies, and they were not in this video, but people who had ringing in the ears and thought they had to quit their job. This guy, literally, he couldn't focus at work anymore. He was about to retire because he thought, that's it, I'm done. After Wildfit, the ringing in his ears stopped. Many people saw their skin change. I saw my hair stop growing gray. So I have the same amount of gray hair today as I did in 2016, just on the sides over here. And again, I don't really understand it, but I want to ask this question to Eric. Eric, a lot of people think that changing food is simply going to change your weight, right? But in this case, we are seeing that illnesses that people have had, including like walking with a limp, these things vanish. Could you explain really briefly what's going on here?
Yeah, it really doesn't matter what injury we have or what disease we have. If our body is in optimal condition, it recovers better. There's little doubt of that. And the challenge with our food industry, the way it is today, is that we have the wrong combination of too much of, say, the wrong stuff and not enough of the good stuff. And so now somebody can have a very minor injury, but their body is going to respond as it should, and it's going to send inflammation to that area. And so it's going to cause, an amplification of the symptoms and so on. And so we frequently hear from people that chronic pain has gone away, swelling has gone away. It's very common.
That's great. And I'm looking at the comments, right? So Tony said 30 pounds off, 30 pounds doing Wildfit. And medications, no more statins, no more metformin, very, very, very healthy. Suchitra said this, in the program, incredible energy. My entire wardrobe has changed. I weigh what I used to weigh at 27. I feel vibrant, radiant. The best part is the program naturally aligns with us because we are shifted to choose healthy ways of living. And so, a lot of people who have taken Wildfit are not on this call because they've taken Wildfit, so they don't need to be here. They've gone into mastery, but you'll see that few people who are here on this call, they have amazing things to say. Now, when you take Wildfit, you basically are living life to the absolute full. You'll find that you've never felt this healthy. You've transformed your eating habits. Someone posted in the chat, but I love junk food. You will start loving other things. How many times have you loved someone and then all of a sudden you love someone else, right? Just like you can end a relationship with someone that you think you're madly in love with. You can end a relationship with the food that you think you're in love with. I ended my relationship with Starbucks lattes. Now I only have black, sugar-free, milk-free Americanos at Starbucks. And that's amazing. And most of those are decaf too. You'll transform your eating habits. And most of all, you'll transform your body and your health. So Eric, I'm now going to give the floor to you to take us through your lessons for today.
Well, I'd like to address some of the comments. First of all, congratulations to every one of you. And I really appreciate the kind words. I just want to point out to you that I created the structure. You made it happen. So well done to all of you. I love, and Martina says that her doctor told her after doing Wildfit that her blood data came back as an 18-year-old when she's 60 years old. Cheryl says that she lost 27 pounds. But here's what's crazy. A lot of people come to Wildfit for weight loss because it's so good at that. But they get a bunch of things that we call non-scale victories. So like, listen, Cheryl says, my sleep improved, fingernails stopped cracking, my anxiety reduced, I felt energetic and happy. And this is a very important thing. This is not about weight loss. This is not about going on a diet. And I want to, before I go into some practical stuff here, I want to say very importantly, I saw somebody say, you mean I'm going to have to give up this? And then somebody said, oh, so this is an elimination diet? I really want you guys to understand, and this is very important, this is not a diet. This is a process that will help you reevaluate and change your relationship with food. Some people, for example, will make a decision, I don't really want to have alcohol anymore. But then other people won't do that. Some people will say, I don't really want to have coffee anymore. But like Vishen, instead of saying, I don't want coffee anymore, he upgraded his coffee. And so this is not a one size fits all, you're all going to give up a bunch. Not at all. This is about you changing your relationship with food. So I want to give you some examples as practical lessons that you can take from this masterclass that can already begin to help you make a change. So one of the principles I want to share with you is that there are a variety of different reasons that you eat. You eat for different reasons. So you think you eat because you're hungry, but the truth is that Well, let me ask you this. How many of you have ever eaten something for a reason other than hunger? You've eaten something for a reason other than hunger. I'm just curious. And by the way, why don't you tell me what it was? What did you eat that wasn't really for hunger? And tell me what it was. I'm curious what it was and maybe why you even had it, like a comfort, nourishing, because it made me feel nice. I was bored, right? So this is a very important distinction, that a huge amount of what we eat for reasons other than nutrition. Now, think about our ancestors for a minute. They didn't do that. They couldn't do that because they didn't have that option, right? In their environment. Wow, you guys have some good stuff here. Toast, and more toast, right? Like, wow. And you know what's crazy about toast? Certainly nourishing from an emotional perspective, but does absolutely nothing for you nutritionally. That's not to say you shouldn't eat it. It's just, you got to understand that you also have to take care of your nutrition. So let's take a look at some of the reasons for it. I'm going to give you one right now. If you just take this one thing from the masterclass, it could change your whole life. This one thing. One of the most significant reasons for eating, it's a type of hunger, is called thirst. Now, I know some of you are going, what do you mean? Let me explain. This is going to come as a shock to some of you, especially if you're under 30 years old, but there was a time before water bottles. There was a time when we didn't have water bottles. In fact, there was a time when we only had tap water. And there was a time before that when we didn't even have tap water. In fact, there was a time before that when our ancestors got a lot of their water from the food they ate. This is a very important distinction. They got a lot of their water from the food they ate. They ate fruits and vegetables seasonally, and even the meat they ate, for those that were eating meat, it was fresh meat, so it was full of water. Now, the challenge is, today, a lot of our food is not only empty of water, but it's also needing water. So now let's just take a look at this. The way this works is your body starts feeling a little dehydrated. You might think that it would send you a thirst signal, but the truth is, by the time it's sending you a thirst signal, you're like too dehydrated. Long before it says, drink something urgently, it says, go eat something. Because for 99.99% of human history, eating something got you water. Are you guys with me? Are you guys seeing what I'm saying here? I just want to see in the comments, am I giving you this in a way where you're digesting it, so to speak, right? So we would eat the food that was naturally occurring around us, and it would give us water. And therefore, sometimes when we're hungry, what we really are is thirsty. But now I'm curious, who's willing to own up? Who's willing to be honest about this? Who here has ever addressed their hunger with potato chips or French fries? Has anybody done that? I'm sure there's one or two of you that have had potato chips and French fries when you were hungry. But now what's crazy is, not only is there no water in those things, basically, they actually have a reverse or negative quantity of water. In other words, they require water to process them. So check it out from your body's perspective. You've got this inner body, and they're going, hey, we're running a little low on water here. Could you go get something to eat? Oh yeah, I'm going to grab some potato chips. Then you go eat the potato chips. Now the body's like, holy crap, we have to use some of our water that we were running low on to process these potato chips. So then the guy goes, oh, I guess we need to eat some more. Okay, keep eating those chips. It's a little bit like the government. It runs a bit like a government, right? Like your body's going, hey, eat this to get water. Then it's eating the wrong thing. Has anybody spotted this pattern in their life where you're eating a food that makes you hungry? Has anybody noticed this? There are some foods that fill you up and some foods that make you hungry. Tell me some of the foods that make you hungry. Roz, I'm sorry. I'm so happy for you. Roz says she hasn't had potato chips since she did Wildfit back in February and has no craving for them. Now, I want to just address this for a minute, you guys. Sometimes when people haven't done Wildfit, they see the comments and they're like, you mean I have to give up potato chips? No, you don't. Wildfit is about food freedom. It's truly about eating what you want, when you want, as much as you want, but it's also about being able to not eat what you wish you wouldn't eat when you don't need to eat it. So when Roz here says, I haven't had any potato chips, some of you are like, oh my God, I'm going to lose something. But then watch what Roz wrote. I also don't have any cravings for it anymore. This is the important part. See, I don't want. Has anybody had that situation where you've been good for so long that you rebel against the good? Has anybody done that? I'll bet you there's a few people that have had that experience. So that's strategy number one. Strategy number one is recognizing that sometimes when you're hungry, what you really are is low on water. And so one of the hacks that we teach you here is, and this is important, just take this quote and go spread it around the internet. Drink to prevent thirst, not to address it. If I had a microphone, I would drop it. I think that should be a mic drop moment, but drink to prevent thirst, not to address it. And then part of that is some of your drinking should be water-based foods, right? Naturally occurring water-based foods. So now let's go to another one. Another example. Has anybody here, I know it's only a few of you, but if you have ever eaten food for an emotional reason, like not nutrition, but if you've ever eaten a food for emotional reason, what I want you to tell me is, what was the emotion that you were having and what was the food you used to cure it? So depression and chocolate. Tell me right now, what was the emotion you were addressing and then the food you used to address the emotion? Let's check this out here. So fear and cake. Yeah, I got you. Stress to sweet things. Procrastinating anything. Claudia's like, as long as I don't have to work on this project, I'm going to go eat whatever there is. Absolutely. Sadness or stress. Magdalena, period cravings. I hear that all the time. And period cravings send often women straight to the fridge. And here's the tough part. If they've got their cravings messed up, if their metabolism is off, then they crave the worst things. They crave the worst things. What's really crazy is once you've adjusted your relationship with food, when you come to one of those times like period cravings or an emotional difficulty or whatever it is, weirdly, your body says, oh, and it leans toward functional things. It leads toward functional things. This is a very important distinction. Let's see here. Frustration, ice cream or crackers. Frustration, chocolate. Sadness and homemade fettuccine Alfredo. I mean, of course, right? But you guys all know that these foods don't cure these things, right? You do know that fettuccine does not cure loneliness. I mean, look, fettuccine with friends, yeah, that cures loneliness, but fettuccine on its own does not cure loneliness. This is a very important thing. Wow, guys, we should capture this text and make a cloud from it. It's really good content, really interesting stuff. Sadness and chocolate. Notice how many things chocolate can cure. I've seen in this list because chocolate can cure anxiety, chocolate can cure sadness, chocolate can cure loneliness, chocolate can cure not feeling loved. Chocolate seems to be the cure-all, right? All right. So now I want to share with you another life-changing hack. I want to pause for a moment so that just in case you're currently distracted by something or you're looking at Instagram, just stop. Check in with me here for a minute, because what I'm about to share with you really, truly, no hyperbole here, this is going to be a life-changing principle. Any behavior that you reward is very likely to be repeated, okay? So if you reward a behavior, it's likely to be repeated. We know this already with parenting. If your children have temper tantrums and you give them what they want, then you're just going to raise a bunch of, temper tantrum adults, right? As we've seen quite a lot on social media. So now we already understand that if you have an employee and you reward a certain bad behavior, they're going to keep doing that behavior. So you don't do that. You set up reward systems so that you get the behavior you want. But very often we forget to do this for ourselves. So I'm going to give you an example. Imagine somebody has a really terrible day at work, a really terrible day at work. Anybody had one of those? You've had a terrible day at work and then you're heading home and you're feeling a bit crappy. Maybe you're on a train or a subway, driving your own car or public transport. However you're getting home, you're feeling a bit crappy. And by the way, anybody who can relate to this, just let me know in the chat. Have you been there? You've had that bad day, you're driving home and you've got this bad energy all around you. And let me know if you've ever had this moment. Suddenly you realize there's something in the fridge. Suddenly you realize there's something in the cupboard, or suddenly you realize you could order something. And the minute you realize that, you start to feel better. Who has been there? Who has had that? You've had a bad day, and the minute you realize that you could have some high sugar, high fat, high junk thing, you start to feel better. This is so important to remember, because here's the thing you got to know is that food is not what makes you feel better. It's the permission. And this is important for you to understand. So now, by the way, many of you guys thought that you were going to come here and I was going to talk about what to eat and what not to eat and food. And I hope you're going to understand. That's important. Nutrition is important, and we go deep dive into that. We've had people go through Wildfit with a 4-year nutrition degree and tell me they felt like tearing it up because they've learned such powerful things about nutrition. Of course, we're going to do that. But what I'm trying to demonstrate to you here is that it is much more about your psychology, because here's what I guess about all of you. All of you have a pretty good idea of what to eat more of and a pretty good idea of what to eat less of. But you sometimes wish you had a little more control to eat a little less of the bad stuff and a little more control to eat a little more of the bad stuff. Who's in that camp where you kind of wish it was a little different? You kind of wish you ate a little less of that and a little more of that. Who's in that camp? Right. So me doing a big webinar on telling you about all the vitamins and minerals you need and what foods you can get them from, you know a lot of that. But what you don't necessarily understand is the psychology. So let me show you what's happened. The reason you're driving home and you're feeling bad and you suddenly feel good when you think about food is that when you were a child, you had a bad day at school and your mom or your dad wanted to break you out of it. They wanted to snap you out of it, and they drove into Dairy Queen or Wimpy's or McDonald's or Nando's chicken, whatever country you're in. They drove into some place, or they went to the store and they got you a treat. And that treat distracted you from your sadness. How many of you know you had an experience like this as a kid? How many of you know that at some point your kids distracted you with some yummy food, right? Now, the trouble is that you learned from that food was an anesthetic, that food would help you to feel better, right? You learned from that. You fell down, you skinned your knee, and your mom or dad came and gave you a cookie. And now that cookie equals love and it equals pain relief. And you wonder why at 40, but that doesn't help us change it. Now I want you to think about this. I want you to imagine that you do reward your negative feeling with a high calorie junk food, high fat, high sugar. Now remember, high fat, high sugar, from a natural perspective, your body's like, bonus, you've done so well, because of course in nature, all the high fat, high sugar things were good for us. But I think you all know many of the high fat sugar things now, not so good for us. And so you eat it and your body feels incredibly rewarded. I hope you're catching what happened here. You were feeling bad. You thought about eating some food. You started to feel good, then you ate the food and your body feels rewarded. Any behavior that you repeat or that you reward, you will repeat. So now check it out. Your body starts to learn that the path to chocolate cake, cookies, chocolate ice cream, wine, the path to those things is to make you feel bad. And the next thing you know, you go to work and your body triggers yucky feelings, triggers the feelings of procrastination, triggers the feelings of sadness, because it knows that if it can make you feel sad enough, you'll reach for that food. Is anybody having a moment here where you're beginning to understand something big? Guys, this is huge. It's huge because your body will learn over time that if it wants chocolate, all it has to do is make you feel depressed. Just think about that. How many of you think your body has triggered depression to get to chocolate? Anybody had that? You think now you think about it, you had no reason for being depressed. Things were basically good, and suddenly you were feeling depressed, and the next thing you know, you were eating chocolate. Some of you have had some version of that. Yeah, I can see some of you. Mic drop, head blown. This is big, right? This is big. And so now I want to give you the opposite version of it. I want you to imagine that you've had a phenomenal day. You sold lots of stuff, or you wrote lots of things, or you created amazing things. You've had victory after victory after victory. That is the day that you want to eat the reward food, if you're going to eat it. We'll talk about whether that's a good idea or not, but that is the day. You had the best day, the most productive day. It was outstanding in every possible way. Look, if you're going to eat chocolate ice cream, that is the day to eat it. Are you with me on this? This is not permission to eat chocolate cake. It's permission for you to feel free. And the whole point of this is for you to learn how your nervous system works so that you can trigger the very best behavior. I want you to think about this. If your body knows that a bad day leads to chocolate, what are the endless ways that your body can create a bad day? Could your body, who's had this experience? I want some honesty here. Who's had this experience? You're in a relationship. Your mouth is saying some stuff to the person you love, and your mind in the back is going, what the hell are you doing? Why are you saying these things? Why are you being nasty? Let's be honest. Who's had a little of that? Maybe it was with an employee, maybe it was with a friend, maybe it was with a husband or wife, maybe it was with your children. What I want you to know is there's a really good chance that you were doing that because it would lead to junk food. It would lead to a reward. This is mind-blowing. When you really understand this, it's mind-blowing. And so now we've talked about two of the main reasons that people eat. They eat because they're actually dehydrated. And so if you eat lots of water-rich foods, you drink water, you can change your life. And then they also eat to reward their bad behavior, which creates more bad behavior. So if they simply made one change, if you made one change, and that is from now onwards, I'm eating cookies on a good day, I'm eating ice cream only on a good day. You come home and you're like, oh, I feel awful. I had the worst day. Ooh, I can't do that on a bad day. You'll be surprised how quickly your body stops having bad days because it wants the reward. And then you'll be surprised by something else too. And that is when you've had a really good day, those cravings are a lot lower too. Just let that sink in for a minute. You'll be amazed that your body starts to have many more good days. And that on the good days, the cravings aren't that strong and they can start to go away. Anna, that's exactly what I'm saying. Anna says, are you saying that my body is changing its physiological and psychological state to crave junk food? Yes, it is. That's exactly what it's doing. It has learned that the path to high calorie junk, right? Remember, for thousands and thousands, millions of years, high calorie was a good thing. It was rare to find sugar. Seasonal fruit, occasional honey, rare. You had to reward yourself when you got it. The high fat, high protein, not only rare, but dangerous to try to go get it if you're hunting, right? Like you needed to be rewarded for it. So your body has learned to reward you. So if you think about it 10,000 years ago, Anna, and the rest of you that have that question, think about this. You went hunting and gathering and you put yourself at risk and you scored high fat or high sugar food and you felt the huge dopamine and serotonin reward from it. Your body quickly learns, wow, I should get in that mood more often, the hunting mood or the gathering mood. When I'm in that mood, I get all this great payoff. So it's the same software, but it's in 2023. And now your body goes, if I just scroll the Instagram wall until I feel terrible, then I can go have some chocolate. It's massively important to understand how this works. Now, I want to give you one more thing, and this is a little bit more complicated, but I want you to understand this, that your species, you are a member of sapiens, right? You're a sapien. And your species evolved the ability to survive and thrive through the various seasons in the calendar year, right? So there's fall and there's spring and there's summer. You evolved that. And we're not talking about your seasons in the various places that you're from, Toronto, Minnetonka, Seattle, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Riyadh. Like you guys are from everywhere. I'm not talking about the seasons that you're living in at the moment. I'm talking about the seasons where your DNA evolved, where your body was ultimately built. And that was in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, this is a very important thing to understand because you see, there is a season that is designed for gaining weight. There is one season that is designed for gaining weight. Now, you guys already know this, but nobody's explained it to you like this, I don't think, before. So tell me, if you had to guess of the 4 seasons, which season, and by the way, Wildfitters, don't answer this. Don't answer this. Let the newbies answer this. What season causes you to gain weight? It's designed to gain weight. Check it out. Lots of guesses here. Winter, fall seem to be the 2 big guesses. So what I'm going to say is that if you said winter, you're not as wrong as you could have been. Fall is the right answer, but you're right to say winter because the reason that fall is designed to help us to gain weight is to survive the winter when there isn't much food, right? So your body goes, oh, winter is coming. I need to gain weight. And what is weight? It's fat. Well, what is fat? It is structure, it's insulation, and it's water, and it's energy. That's all the things you need heading into a dangerous season like winter. So you got this season that's all about winter. But now check it out. I want you to guess, what is the season of releasing excess weight that your body doesn't need to carry because it wants to release the pressure on the knees and it doesn't want to carry, wants you to be a better hunter, better gatherer, want to get rid of the extra weight that you put on for the winter. You made it through the winter. What season helps you to release weight, do you think? What's your guess about that? What season will help you to release it? You guys are catching on, right? And by the way, you're going to find this all the way through the Wildfit program. I'm going to say some stuff. It's going to be mind blowing. And then on some level, you're going to realize your DNA already knew it. It's just nobody helped you to see it before. That's what's going to happen to you. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, that's what happens for our ancestors. They made it through the winter. Some of them didn't, but the ones that were really, think about this, guys, who made it through the winter? The people who were not very good at storing fat, or the people who were very good at storing fat? Who made it through the winter? Guess what? The people that were who here thinks that they might have come from ancestors that were very good at surviving winter? Does anybody think of that? Yeah, maybe. I know some of you don't store fat all that much, and I'm addressing fat in this particular area because the seasons have such an impact on that. But you know what else the seasons have an impact on? Is your mood. Your mood. You see, when you're heading into a season of food scarcity, you need to become slightly more disagreeable. You need to be slightly more grumpy. So what that means is that when you're eating super high calorie stuff in the fall, you're leading toward a slightly more disagreeable mood. Who here has ever noticed that if you're eating a lot of carbs, you find yourself getting a little hangry sometimes, a little grumpy, a little snappy? Has anybody ever noticed that? Your blood sugar goes up and down and then you're a bit grumpy. You ever notice that, right? But then in the meantime, there's another season that is about abundance and cooperation. There's a season about abundance and cooperation. It's the same season about weight loss. And these seasons are triggered by two things. They're triggered by the way you move your body and the way you eat. That's what triggers your body's seasonal response to these things. So one of the ways that you trigger the feeling of spring in your body is to have a healthier relationship with carbohydrates. And you can do that two ways. One is to focus on better quality carbohydrates. And the other one is to sometimes take a break from carbohydrates to understand that your body needs to go through these seasonal changes. So I just want to recap the core skills here that I've passed on to you. And then I want to ask your honest opinion. This is my honest, I want to ask this question. I want you to think of this question as I'm recapping what we covered here today. I know that some of you have gone to lots and lots of webinars out there. You kind of show up for a webinar thinking, am I going to get any value? Has anybody ever had that? Like, is it just going to be a sales pitch? Am I going to get value? Am I going to learn something? Has anybody had that feeling? And so with that, I want to know how valuable you think what I've shared with you is. Now, you don't need to put a price on it. You can if you want, but I want you to share. And here's what we talked about. We talked about the fact that our ancestors ate food to get water. And so today, very often when we really need water, we eat food instead. And so if we drink and eat water-rich foods to prevent dehydration, we're gonna really help our appetites a lot. This is a major breakthrough. That's breakthrough number one. Then breakthrough number two is that any behavior that we reward, we're going to repeat. So that means that if we eat, ice cream or chocolate or cookies or cake or donuts or pizza or wine or whatever it is, after we've had a bad day, we're likely to create more bad days in our lives. I mean, if that's not infinitely valuable, I don't know what is. And then we get into the conversation about metabolism and understanding that these seasons are designed to add and subtract weight, and they're designed to change our moods to help us survive and navigate the world. So here's my question for you. Do you feel like this is valuable information that you can put it into practice right now? Like, how many of you are, honestly, how many of you are already thinking, all right, I've done it before, but I'm going to step up my water and water-rich food intake? Who's going to do it? I want to know who's committed. Good deal. I love the word. One of my favorite things about teaching this stuff to the world is that I read the word mind blown frequently. I read it frequently. And if you think you've seen it a lot in the chat here, wait till you see it in the chat during Wildfit, because this is a brief visit together. Whereas when we spend 3 months together, when we go through this process week by week, you're going to have repetitive mind blown opportunities like that. And it's really going to change everything. You will never, ever, ever go on a diet again. And so, Vishen, I'm going to leave with one last thing. I think I want to cover this for people, and I want to help you avoid some mistakes as you go out there into the world. Okay. How many of you feel like you've made some food mistakes and some diet industry mistakes? Who feels like that? Like, how many of you have ever failed at a diet? And if you failed at more than one diet, tell me how many diets you've failed at. I want to know that. How many of you have failed at a diet, and how many diets have you failed at? Let's see here. 10 plus, 6 plus, 3, 4, all of them, hundreds, 348. Never dieted. Good for you. You'll never do it again. You won't have to ever. 2-minute account, fail every day. Okay. Listen to my voice. Look into my eyes. And I want you to hear some very important things. Again, I really want you to pay attention. No more distractions. Take a deep breath and just listen to me. You have never, ever failed a diet. The diet has failed you. You have never failed a diet. The diet has failed you. And I'm going to give you some examples of how the diet has failed you. Any diet that asks you to count calories is setting you up for failure. Any diet that's asking you to rely on willpower to give up foods that you love is causing you pain. It's going to cause failure. Any diet that makes you feel shame because you made a mistake, because you slipped up for a moment, well, that shame is a food trigger. Shame causes cravings. So any diet that creates regret, guilt, or shame is going to make you hungry. How many of you are beginning to understand the diet industry is not only broken, but devious? Like, it is bad. You have never failed a diet. The diet has always only ever failed you. They are built on calories in, calories out. That is the worst accounting in the history of ever. It's absolutely incorrect. You can exercise your weight away. That is a myth that was created by the soft drink industry so that people would justify buying more soft drinks because they went for a run. These myths are devastating. You will never, ever go on a diet again. What you will do is change your relationship with food. And now let's just talk very quickly about that. With food, here's the thing you need to know. There are some foods you need more of, and there are foods that you need to have less of, probably. But there's also a seasonal cycle to the way that you need to eat foods. So I want to share with you one thing about food science so that from now onwards, you never have to be confused again. Food science is so fundamentally flawed that you should not bother reading it. There is almost no purpose in it. What I mean by that is that the food science that's out there today was bought and paid for by the food industry. The woman who created the food pyramid, you know, the food pyramid, some of you know, especially if you're in North America, you know about it. It's kind of worldwide too. The woman who created the food pyramid handed it over to the US government and said, here's the food pyramid. They then took 10 years reviewing it with the food manufacturers. They turned the pyramid upside down in the 1970s, and then they published it. The woman who created the food pyramid said, if you publish this pyramid, you will, in 30 years, have a pandemic of obesity and diabetes all over the world. It's almost like somebody predicted it. Where we're at right now, I'm going to give you a hard example. The Daily Mail, one of the most circulated newspapers in the world, ran 2 articles 1 year apart from each other. One said eggs are good for you. The other one said eggs might cause diabetes. Since I know that eggs don't cause diabetes, I thought I would read that study. I found the original study that the article was written about. Now listen, the headline says, eggs increase risk of diabetes. The study found that in a limited number of people, eating eggs slightly increased their blood sugar. That's a big jump. That's a very big jump from slightly increase their blood sugar to may risk diabetes. But headlines and clickbait, you understand? It's all about headlines and clickbait. But now listen carefully. I went deeper into the study, and here's what I found out. It was only women that had this increase in blood sugar. That's weird. I mean, our metabolisms are a little bit different, but that's a big difference. I wonder what that's all about. And then I read the disclosures of the study. Now, listen, the average nutritionist out there gets their headline, gets their education from headlines and the titles of studies. I actually read them. I'm a little bit of a geek. This is what it said in the disclosures. Largely, the women in this study did not enjoy eating eggs fried, boiled, or poached, preferred eating them in the form of baked goods. So they consumed their eggs as muffins, pancakes. And you wonder why they had a slight raise in their blood sugar. And from muffins and cakes, we end up with a headline that says eggs cause diabetes. If you don't understand how devious this is, if you're not shocked to it, now some of you might think I'm a conspiracy theorist. I do have my tinfoil hat around here somewhere. No, this is legitimate, real stuff. So what I want you to think about is, let's imagine you got an exotic pet. Now you have 2 choices. You can go to Harvard's website or you can go to PubMed and you can read a bunch of research papers funded by the pet food companies about what you should feed your pet. Or you could watch National Geographic special for 2 hours. Which do you think would be a better way for you to learn about your exotic pet's nutrition? The pet food funded research at the Harvard Medical School, or the Nature Channel or National Geographic? Are you guys with me on this? And so I want you to know that the real answers to nutrition relative to humans is in two places. It's in our archaeological record, it's in our evolution, and it's in our background. And it's in the observance of modern, present-day hunter-gatherer communities that still live the way that our DNA organized. And if we pay attention to those things and ignore the bread is good, bread is bad, wine is good, wine is bad, sugar's good, sugar's bad, meat is good, meat is bad, and ignore all of that noise, and we just rely on evolutionary biology as our rule, we will have fundamental health. So we've covered our 3 skills. We've talked about the myths of the diet industry and the nutrition industry. I'm hoping that you feel mind blown and life changed, because I want to offer you more and more and more of this.
Thank you,
All right.
Eric. Well, I was absolutely captivated by your storytelling. And I want to point something out. So one of the things that made Wildfit so effective is I remember on day 66, so it's a 90-day program, right? And 90-day programs are hard. How many of you guys have started the program and then you didn't complete it? I know I have. We do the same thing with books because life gets in the way. But I remember at day 66, I was driving to work, listening to my Wildfit video for that day. It was around a 5-minute video, I recall. And I remember telling myself, what is it with this program? It's like the chewing gum at the bottom of your shoe. You can't get rid of it. I was waking up every day and I was just so excited to hear Eric speak. So I called up Eric. I remember I WhatsApped you and I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? How you made this so sticky? And I realized what Eric was doing. His style of teaching brought in storytelling, metaphors, examples and he uses a concept called NLP. And when you listen to Eric, he changes the way you see things. That is true transformation. And so Wildfit was so successful in 2016. You know what we did? We built all our programs on this model of bite-sized learning over X number of days. That's why all Mindvalley programs are called Quest right now. But that Quest model was inspired by Wildfit. So Wildfit was the original Quest on Mindvalley. That's how effective the program is, right? So, and that's why I'm such a supporter of Eric and its work, because the way this guy teaches to me is beyond anything. Now, I want to share one more story about Eric, because I know some of you are concerned. Are you going to stick through this program? Well, let's look at this. When we started this call, we had 1,500 people. Right now, we're at 1,900 people. So I don't know if people are bringing their friends into the call, but the numbers haven't gone down. And normally after an hour, the numbers go down. Here, the numbers are going up. Another random fact about Eric, I put Eric on stage last year at Mindvalley University. There were over 120 speakers. Eric was the highest rated speaker. His speaking score was 4.99 as a speaker. That was unheard of in the history of Mindvalley. For an event of that size, we have never seen a speaker get 4.99, which means everyone in the audience gave him a 5 out of 5, except one guy, one person who gave him like an 8.7. And I think Eric is still looking for that person. So what I want to do right now is I want to tell you about Wildfit, how you can participate in Wildfit, how the program works. And I have a surprise for you, because I know some of you may be thinking 1,500 is a lot. Well, we have a surprise. Just stay tuned, okay? Our goal is to make Wildfit so transformative, because we know, with many programs, when you take them and you go through a transformation, the transformation is inside you. And so you transform, but unless people are engaging with you or seeing your leadership style or seeing the way you think in a relationship, they don't really know you've transformed. With Wildfit, it happens in 90 days. And if you see someone before you do Wildfit, then you see them 3 months later. And this is very common, even with people you have in the same city, their jaw will drop because you will physically look different, not just your body, your face. For some of you, you may see hair regrow. For some of you, you may have more confidence. You may be standing in a different way. There was that guy on the video you saw whose limp disappeared. Imagine walking without a limp. Some of you might have a newfound sense of confidence. Many of you are going to shed a lot of weight. I put 100 of my employees through Wildfit. The record was 91 pounds lost. 91 pounds. Now, this guy lost around 60 pounds in the first 3 months, and that was dramatic. Then he continued eating Wildfit and just changing his health practices. He lost another 30-something pounds at the end of 6 months. 91 pounds. That's almost a skinny human being. And then number 2 and number 3 were 2 programmers. I remember one of these guys was from Egypt, and both of them each lost 51 pounds. And this guy from Egypt told me that it had changed his relationship to food. He said, in Egypt, everybody drinks Coca-Cola for every meal. It's just the way we've been programmed. And he lost 51 pounds. Now, the funny thing is, he started sharing as he was going through this transformation. He was calling up his brother and his mother in Cairo, and he was sharing it with them. His brother ended up losing 20 pounds just from, his brother didn't even do Wildfit. He simply served as an example for his family. And so one of the things that I want you to understand is that you don't just change your life, you change the lives of everyone you touch. Here's another story, and this is personal. If you look at my Instagram, you will see that before 2018, I did not post on Instagram. Today, I have over 1 million followers on Instagram, 2 million on Facebook. I did not post on Facebook and Instagram. I felt old. I felt that I wasn't charismatic. I was seeing all of these young stars like Jay Shetty get millions of fans. And I thought I couldn't do that. I'm this chubby kid. And Wildfit gave me the confidence to actually step out. Look at pictures of me. If you Google Vishen Lakhiani before 2016, you will see I look very, very, very different from how I look today. That dramatic transformation happened because of Wildfit. Okay, so let's look at this. Now, let me show you how the program works. So first is mindset shift. So as you can see in this example, you see a massive transformation. So when you take part in the program, we actually encourage you to take a photo, and I'm going to show you my transformation as well, a photo of the start date and the end date, as you can see in this picture, right? So this guy said, in the past, emotional eating would sabotage any progress I would make. And he didn't even realize he was eating emotionally until Wildfit. The second thing is self-care upgrade. You get a self-care upgrade. What this means is that, now again, look at the difference in this woman's belly. You can see a very marked difference. You get a self-care upgrade. And what this means is that you change the way, so you can see this is from 29th of January to 25th of April. You change the way you take care of yourself. Somebody posted in the comments, I'm uncomfortable with this idea that you're losing weight without exercise because exercise is good. You're absolutely right. However, most doctors, most nutritionists now know, and this is fairly modern science, 80 to 90% of your body weight is based on the food you eat. 10 to 15% is exercise. I asked this question to Dr. Mark Hyman, who has 14 New York Times bestsellers and is one of America's most published doctors. He said 85% of your weight is what you eat, 15% is exercise. The reason many people, especially in the US, think it's around 50-50 is because the food companies, Nestle, Coca-Cola, they serve you junk. And then they tell you, oh, go take a run, go start jogging. It doesn't work that way. Jogging, if you drink, for example, a glass of Nestle Milo, which they position as a health drink, I did the math, you would have to run 2.5 kilometers just to burn off the calories from that one drink. It doesn't work that way, okay? Food primarily is what causes weight gain, but what you will find is that as you do Wildfit, your energy goes up so much, you start exercising. Eric, could you comment on this, please?
You know, it's one of the more pervasive myths, and I'll tell you where it really comes from to kind of help. And I alluded to this earlier, is that years ago, as people started to buy into the calories in, calories out method of, weight loss, which is fundamentally flawed, once they'd kind of got everybody convinced that calories in, calories out was the way to go, then the next thing was to say to people, well, that means that if you want to eat this thing, you just need to go run this many miles. And so the idea that exercise was the solution was a bought and paid for propaganda piece, largely initially by the soft drink industry, and then also largely by the food industry. And there's another vision, this is kind of gross, but there's another insidious part of it, and that is that I don't know if you know this, but when the tobacco industry saw the writing on the wall and they knew they were in deep trouble, they started buying food companies. So many of the big food companies today are owned by tobacco companies. And so they use some of the same methodology. Well, the lifestyle disease, the name lifestyle disease, which I hate air quotes, but there's no other way to say lifestyle disease, because the way, what they did by coming up with the term lifestyle disease is they were preparing juries. They were making the public judge people who had lifestyle diseases, so that when they went to court, people would go, well, if you have lung cancer or obesity or type 2 diabetes, you did this to yourself. And so the exercise will solve the problem was part of that, because now if you were lazy, it was your own fault.
Yeah.
So that's where it all comes from. And then from a metabolism perspective, there's a simpler answer, and that is this. There are certain foods that you eat that put you in a season, and that season is about building muscle. And there are certain other foods that you eat, and that season is about gaining fat. And it doesn't matter what exercise you're doing, the body's still going to build either muscle or fat depending on what you're eating. So the eating is the biggest part of it. Exercise is super important, don't get me wrong, but it's an order of things. Nutrition right first, and then exercise. And one more thing about that. Sorry, I could go on for ages, but one more thing. That many people are carrying extra weight, not their fault, but they're being told it's their fault. If you ate a little less and moved a little more, then it would be, no. Then what they do is they go to the gym and they pound it out at the gym, and they go to like CrossFit and they pound it out at CrossFit and they go for a run, and they're carrying all this extra weight, and then they create something called injury because their body wasn't healthy. So the first thing we do is get the nutrition right. Then we can talk about exercise.
Yeah. So that's very, very true. Okay. And we'll go further. And yes, somebody asked, I need to leave for a 9 a.m. meeting. Does the offer still work if I leave the meeting now? We're going to send you the offer to everyone. Okay. It's a really incredible offer. So stay, because we have a huge surprise for you guys. Just stay tuned. And then finally, you'll form a new relationship with food that for many people, it lasts a lifetime. For me, it's been 7 years. And I'm still at 13% body fat. So Wildfit took me to 14%. How I got to 13% body fat is, well, firstly, I eat, I go out, I eat. I just had a friend of mine just took me to this amazing Chinese restaurant. I eat a ton. I eat more than what my daily recommended calories are. I just don't put on weight because I know how to eat. The calorie thing is a myth. 80% of the top biohackers and nutrition coaches in the world, the world-class people, JJ Virgin, Dave Asprey, all say calorie counting is a myth. Rather, your body is like a chemistry lab. It's about the combinations of food, how you eat. Even with exercise, aerobics exercise actually destroys your muscle, so it lowers your metabolic rate. But you will learn how to develop a new relationship with food where you're craving the stuff in the right way, where it is nurturing your body. Now, let's go on to
I feel so much more comfortable holding space for myself.
The whole mentality shift is just really amazing. When I'm able to do stuff like that, those are some of the hugest wins.
One of the biggest changes for me is just like my mental shift, and the fact that taking better care of myself and being easier on myself at the same time is the biggest difference to me.
Doing the Wildfit journey, and I think since the program ended, like I've still been releasing weight. Things are still going in the right direction, just looking better every day. Finishing the program after like 3 months committed to something and sticking to it and seeing results, like maybe the biggest win.
My biggest win is my husband, how he changed. And also my kids, like, for example, when we went to a restaurant, and even though they were full, they just couldn't stop. And now they feel, okay, my tummy is full, I'm okay, so they don't touch more food. And they are so aware what they choose.
It wasn't till a long time after that I realized I could actually fit into like a size 20. And then this time, as I was going through it, I got into an 18. And then I got into a 16. And I was like, oh. It was crazy.
We did this 24-hour trip, 3 flights. I was flying alone with 2 small kids, just the 3 of us. Nowhere near easy. It was only possible because I had the right tools.
Generally feeling better. And then the biggest thing was just not having the food cravings all of the time, not needing junk food every day, every evening. That's, I think, been the biggest thing.
The physique is much better now. I feel full of energy. I feel actually very good. No compromising on the food level. Like still, I'm gonna eat Wildfit. I feel good. I will not eat junk food. I don't want to eat that. So that's a major change. Like the physique and that feeling of freedom. Because, you know, I can go meet my friends. I can go like walking through McDonald's, smell all these smells. And I'm like, yeah, but I want real food. Like it was funny for me one,
And so, sorry, continue.
Observed, I went to the supermarket and all I bought was everything that was green, like, you know, like spinach, cucumbers, celeries, avocados, broccoli. In the past, I would think I must eat this because, you know, it's going to be on my diet.
It's just how I feel about myself now. I'm in control of this. I can make choices about food. I'm not slavishly having to, you know, have something because it's there or because I'm offered it. And just being able to say, you know, when I'm in the supermarket, I look at something, I go, I don't eat that. I'm really clear, really clear.
So you guys get the idea. And we see these testimonials everywhere, like this testimonial by Pushpa Nair of India. She lost 23 kilograms of weight, felt absolutely amazing. Wayne Raddick, again, this is an incredible story of losing weight. In the picture on the left, he weighed 217 pounds. When he finished the challenge, he dropped down to 190 pounds. That's 27 pounds released. And you can see the difference 27 pounds makes on you. Now, many people who do Wildfit also notice something. And the evidence for this came out in 2020 in a study by Dr. Daniel Amen. Dr. Daniel Amen is America's #1 brain doctor. And he did a study and he showed that for every extra pound of weight you carry around your belly or your thighs, it reduces the effectiveness of your brain. In short, as you shed weight, your thinking becomes clearer. You're able to focus more. Clarity increases. And so many people find that productivity goes up after they lose weight, not just because of an increase in energy. Remember, I didn't need my Mars bars anymore, but productivity goes up because the brain is simply healthier. Now check out the transformation on this guy. But not only did his body change, his asthma disappeared. This person, Joyce Yaskovich, again, incredible results from Wildfit because she was struggling with radiation fibrosis throughout her neck area. Swallowing was difficult. Now she says, I don't get food stuck in my throat anymore. I'm now easily even swallowing cauliflower. Sarah said Wildfit has transformed her life. Now, again, you can see she became more adventurous. She was exercising more because of newfound energy. And yes, this happens in 90 days. What's happening in Wildfit is your engine. So your body has a natural engine and your engine is trained to burn carbs, burn sugars, burn the food that you're eating. And if you stop the carb and sugar feeding frenzy, you feel a dip in energy. That's what was happening to me. That's why I needed, boom, the Mars bar. Wildfit pulls the lever on your body towards the burn fat category. So now your body learns that it can burn fat, which is actually a more effective form of fuel. And that's one of the reasons why so many changes in energy happen. Now, Wildfit is no starvation. There's no crazy exercise. There are many diets out there and they make you exercise for an hour a day. No, not with Wildfit, but you will love your body and you will want to exercise after you do it because pains disappear, aches disappear, you are sleeping better, and your exercise actually gives you better results. Let me give you an example why. Okay, so before Wildfit, remember what I shared? I had to drink 2 glasses of red wine every single day. I'd come back, I'd watch Netflix, I'd drink 2 glasses of red wine because I needed the red wine to help me sleep. What I didn't realize was this: I wasn't sleeping well because I was hooked on caffeine. 2 giant cups of Starbucks latte is 4 cups of caffeine, basically. I was getting venti. And then I was working out in a gym. I even hired a gym trainer, but my body just wasn't changing that much. I didn't realize that the red wine, if you drink alcohol, even red wine to that level, it kills muscle protein synthesis, which means if you're a man or woman and you're working out, your workout drops significantly. About 25% reduction in muscle protein synthesis if you take alcohol, even 1 glass of red wine. I was taking 2. So I was working out, but my body wasn't building muscle. Now, when I recalibrated with Wildfit, my coffee consumption, I still love coffee. I have my morning coffee cup here, but I only take 1 cup or 2 of coffee a day, no longer 4. And I rarely drink. My drinking went down immediately after Wildfit. My drinking went down 70%. Now my drinking is down 95%. That's by choice. And so my body started transforming because I could gain muscle again. The program has a 91% completion rate. And in total, we've seen people in 123 countries lose 150,000 pounds. Okay, so part 1 is discovering what your body truly needs. Eric, I'm going to let you describe these parts, okay?
Absolutely. Okay, so when we talk about making sure that we deal with the body's actual needs, a lot of times people focus on say like vitamins, minerals, that kind of stuff. What I want to talk about is what your really core needs are as a human. And the best metaphor that I can give you for this is that I want you to imagine that we're about to do a big trip. And we're going to drive from, say, New York to Los Angeles, or we're going to drive from Rome to London. Well, the first thing we would do is we'd go to the car and we'd make sure that the car was topped up with gas, that the oil was clean, that there was transmission fluid and power steering fluid and all that kind of stuff. We make sure the tires were inflated properly and they were good thread and so on. The challenge for a lot of us is that we don't realize that we are on a journey like that every day. We see every day as just a short drive, but the truth is we're on a long drive. And for some of us, this drive will be 80 years, and some of us, it might be 120 years, and in various lengths in between. But the truth is that what we want to do is make sure that we've run through our needs, that our oil is topped up, that our automatic transmission fluid, that our tires are at the right pressure. Only for us, those measurements are different. So just to briefly kind of run through those so you get it, is the number one and most important urgent need of the human body, of course, is air, right? Like you can only survive minutes without air, where you can survive days without water and even weeks without food. And I don't recommend it, but you can do it. But so when we look at air, there's 2 things to think about. That you want, first of all, to have good quality air. So that means being outside and not being inside your office or your house all the time. But then the other thing, and this is a very key thing about your nervous response or your stress systems, and that is how you breathe. So when a prey animal is in nature and it's under threat, it breathes very quietly and shallowly. And that makes the body produce some cortisol and help it prepare for the difficulty. In our case, what we want to do is we want to breathe deeply, nice, calm, deep breathing. Now, we all know this, that when we get under stress, we need to take a few deep breaths, but it's very key that we take some time every day and get some proper relaxed breathing that tells your body that the environment around you is safe. If you were being hunted, if you were under threat, you would breathe quietly. Well, the truth is most of us breathe quietly like that all the time. We're sitting crunched up, driving the car, sitting in our seats, not ideal. So, then what we want to do is understand hydration. Well, we talked about this, that thirst is a really big part of your hunger, and it's a big part of your condition. I'll tell you right now, you are mostly water. And so when you're running low on water, you start running low on you. Here's another one, sleep. Now, that sleep's important. We all know that sleep's important.
Eric, I apologize. We have to speed up. We need about just 2 minutes per section.
I've got you. And somebody says that my video's gone. I hope you guys can still see me.
No, we can see you. We can see you. And but now let's go on to let's wrap up part 1 and then part 2.
We're going to get sleep, sunlight, movement, and then crucially, at the foundation of all of it is all of the vitamins, the 13 vitamins, the 16 minerals, and amino acids. We need to get all of those things in. If we take care of those needs, your immune system, your healing, your youthfulness, all becomes automatic.
Amazing. Now, part 2 is where you allow your natural human diet to take over. This is week 3 to 10. And this is when you start going through this is like in my case, week 7, week 1 to 6, I didn't see any changes in my weight. Week 7, I felt like I was melting. I was losing 1 kilogram, around 2.2 pounds a week. So Eric, really quickly, what happens over here in part 2?
Well, when we walk in and we talk about allowing the natural diet to take over, what we're realizing is that the foods that we eat control our metabolism. And that has an impact on whether we gain or lose weight, whether we have more or less inflammation, whether we are happier or more disagreeable. All of those things kick in. So as we move into week 7, your metabolism will change. Your energy management will come a lot better. Your moods will likely become improved. You will sleep better. You will not snap at people so easily if that's something that happens to you now. There are a variety of emotional and physical things that will begin to right size. And if you have excess weight, there's a really good chance that you'll start to release it during that time because it's the right phase. And this is important for those of you who are a little bit concerned with diabetes and prediabetes, and frankly, most people should be thinking about that these days. You'll find that your blood sugar during that phase begins. A matter of fact, here's the deal. If any of you are on blood sugar medication or blood pressure medication, you will get a disclaimer at the beginning of the program that tells you as you move into part 2, it is crucial that you watch your measurements because you probably will need to reduce your medication. You do that with your doctor's partnership, but it is likely that you'll have to reduce those medications because when you let your diet take over, your body does the right things.
Amazing. And then finally, part 3 is releasing weight rapidly and keeping it off. This is week 11 and 12.
Yeah. So what happens is that when you first switch seasons, it takes your body some time to adjust to that. Now, for our ancestors, this was a pretty straightforward thing. The seasons changed gently, your gut bacteria changed gently, and you kind of moved into the new season. What happens when we do that is there's like an onboarding process. But once your body believes that winter is over, once your body believes that you're no longer under calorie threat, that you're no longer, that food is no longer scarce, then what happens at that point is your body says, oh, thank God, I don't have to carry around this extra weight because it doesn't want to carry it around. Your knees don't want to carry it around. Of course, this is, I'm speaking now to people who actually want to release some weight here. That's a big part of this. So at this point, your body basically says, I don't want to be carrying this extra weight, and I now have permission to release it. And key to this, by the way, is now that you're sleeping better, guess what? That's the time of day your body releases the weight best.
Amazing. And I see, thank you, Farida, for sharing. Farida just said, I lost 45 pounds just listening to Wildfit. And speaking of that, I want to share my transformation. This is how my transformation happened. So this is 22% body fat to June 2016. I went down to 14% body fat. And then I did high intensity interval training. So when I lost all of that body fat, I was a little bit scrawny. So I started doing high intensity interval training. And that way I was able to build muscle. And then today, this is what my body looks like. And this is like years after Wildfit. And this photo was taken on a very busy day. I was turning in the manuscript for my book, The Buddha and the Badass, right? But even with busy, late, long hours writing, my body was able to serve me really, really, really well. So Wildfit makes a dramatic transformation. Somebody asked, do I do Wildfit and 10X together? You always want to start with Wildfit. Even so, 10X is Mindvalley's muscle building program. So my body here was trained on 10X. But even at the start of 10X, the author says, if you haven't done Wildfit, and if your body fat is above, I forget the number he gave, 15, 17% for men, then you must start with Wildfit. Because otherwise you can build muscle, but you can't really see it because it's covered by your layer of fat. So that's why Wildfit is so essential. 90-day program. And what we're going to say is results are guaranteed. So I'm proud to announce that we believe in this program so much, we're creating a new guarantee for you that guarantees results, or you get your money back. And I'm going to come to that in a moment. And one of the things that we're also doing is we are launching Wildfit as a group challenge. So yes, you can do it on your own, but if you join today, we are getting, so this is the big Wildfit class of the year. And there's a beautiful advantage to taking things together as a class. Thousands of people are going to start together, and you're all going to be in a Telegram group, and we keep each other motivated. It's not crazy amounts of pings, but there's coaches that every single day sends a little message to keep you motivated. And we found that this dramatically keeps people on point. As people start sharing their results, we keep each other motivated. So this is the one of only 2 times a year you can join it as a group challenge. And I strongly advise that. You can sign up anytime, but if you sign up for this class, you get the group challenge. And if you don't do it now, you'd have to wait 6 months. Now, there are 2 options to take Wildfit. You can take Wildfit online. So over 13 weeks, Eric will be guiding you through the food freedom, right? And this is basically 13 weeks or 3 months, and it's $899. Now, you can also take Wildfit with group coaching. This is $1497. They are weekly QA support calls with Eric and certified coaches. Both of these start on August 7th. So one is $899 for people who want to budget a bit, and for people who want to go with coaches and with a live call by Eric every single week, this is the option. Now, someone said, so expensive. Let me share a story with you. When we first launched Wildfit, this was the program we had, okay, online, and it was 1,500. And after the first 4,000 people went to it, because we're Mindvalley and we have economies of scale, we brought the price down to around 999. And I remember there was a guy from Hungary who called up David. David is also from Hungary. He's in our customer support team. And this guy from Hungary said, David, I'm so upset. I paid $1,500 and now you brought the price down to 1,000. I want $500 back. So David was very smart. David said, hey, so David had been talking to this customer and this customer had submitted an incredible Wildfit testimonial. David said, remember the story you sent me about what Wildfit did to you? Okay, I'll give you this $500 back. But remember what you said? You had acne on your back and your acne on your back has completely disappeared. And then you lost 8 kilograms and that 8 kilograms have vanished. You mentioned that your intimacy with your wife has gone to a whole new level. And you mentioned that you're no longer afraid to take off your shirt at a beach. If I give you that $500 back, you also should take back the acne for the last 6 months. You should take back the 8 kilograms. You should take away the intimacy you've had with your wife for the last 6 months. And you should stop walking around shirtless. And the guy goes, David, I got your point. Absolutely got your point. $500 for a lifetime of changes was nothing. Now, today, all of you guys are getting an even lower price at $899. So someone said, this is expensive. Yeah, maybe it is. But do you know the average American spends $3,500 a year on healthcare? The average American spends thousands a year on prescription medication. Now, if you're in Europe, your healthcare is covered by the government, but you're still paying for that with taxes, right? And with Wildfit, you make the money back in the long term. You are not wasting money on food that isn't real. And your energy goes up. Your brain power goes up. You are so much more productive. So there are two choices you can make. Now, if you take the higher option, you go deeper into each week's material. You get your most burning questions answered. And all of Eric's live calls are recorded for you. Okay, and then there's this group engagement. It's on Facebook, so everyone is connected there. So you can decide right now which one is better for you, $899 or $1497. Okay, $899 if maybe you're on a budget, $1497 if you really want to go deep, you really want to maximize the results, lose even more weight, keep it off, and it requires a little bit more time, about an hour to 2 hours extra a week. If you want to, because you definitely want to listen to Eric's lessons. As you can see, he is so freaking entertaining. Both programs start at the same time and end at the same time. They both start August 7th, which is short amount of time from now, and they both end on the same time, 90 days later. Now, about Eric, in 2018, many people don't know this, but the Canadian Senate, Eric is Canadian, awarded Eric a medal for his dedication to improving the quality of people's lives because that senator lost so much weight on Wildfit. Eric has studied many of his theories by living with the Hadza Bushmen in South Africa and studying the way human beings the way we naturally are designed to move and eat. He was awarded top 25 most influential leaders in personal growth and achievement. And the student stories are incredible. I mentioned Eric transformed the lives of so many leading transformational teachers. This is Ken Honda. Ken has written over 70 books in Japan. He's Japan's most prolific personal growth writer. Even him, with all of his knowledge, lost 20 pounds on Wildfit. This is Marie Diamond, one of Europe's greatest spiritual teachers. She lost 8 kilograms on Wildfit and her allergies disappeared. So again, which one do you think is better for you, $899 or $1497? Now, I promised you, we're going to give you a really incredible offer here, okay? And I want to live up to that promise. So here's what we want to do. You do not have to decide between $899 or $1497. By the way, I like that funny comment someone put. Can it be $899 Canadian since Eric is Canadian? Cute, but no cigar. So the good thing is this, though. You don't have to decide because we want to change as many people's lives as well. If you take the $899 offer, we will give you the $1497 offer completely free. Okay? So if you take the $899 offer, you get the $1497 offer completely free. So you don't have to decide. Just take the lower price one and you're going to get everything else. The weekly coaching, the live calls with Eric, the group, the Facebook group, everything is going to be there for you. All you got to do is secure your spot right now. Go to mindvalley.com, Wildfit special. But again, we're not done. Okay, so firstly, open that up on your browser. Just take a photo of that with your phone so you can go back to that QR code anytime. Just do yourself a favor and just snap a photo with your phone. By the way, this is crazy. The number of participants continues going up. It went down to 1.3, now it's 1.4. Okay, so take a picture of that with your phone. Now, one of the things that we want to do is we want to make sure your investment is safe. Because I know some of you are thinking, I've dieted before. And I'm going to ask Eric to, in a moment, explain why Wildfit is so different from any diet. But just to make sure you are safe, here's what we do. Complete 80% of the program. We can tell, right? Because you're watching the videos on the Mindvalley app. For every user, we can see, how much you've watched. It's not a lot of hours. And we're just talking about the base program. If you've watched at least 80% of the videos, and by the way, as we get from week 3 to week 10, it's, Eric, how many hours is it per week? Week 3 to 10?
The videos are Mondays and Fridays, and they're quite short, generally in the 15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes.
Usually an hour to 90 minutes.
Yeah, so week 8 to 10 is only about 30 minutes a week. And then week 1 to 2 is a little bit longer. It's about 2 hours a week, Eric, week 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's where we're laying this more. The videos are daily, and we're laying all the psychological foundations.
Yeah, so of course, we want you, if you're getting a refund, you got to make sure, we want you to commit, do the program. But if you've completed 80% of the videos and you are not happy for any reason, we'll give you your money back, okay? So if you feel it was too hard or if your weight isn't shedding, you get your money back. You get a full unconditional refund. All you got to do is just write to our team, support@mindvalley.com, okay? And Eric, how many people have asked for the refund?
I like less than, I don't even know. It is such a rare occurrence. And I can tell you, there's one that I really do remember. I was in Copenhagen and this woman wrote to me and she said, I really don't think it worked for me. And weirdly, I was sitting at a restaurant in Copenhagen working and I said, I'm here in Copenhagen, weirdly. And so I said, come and have a drink with me. So she actually showed up at the restaurant. In the meantime, I had my team go and get her Zoom screenshots from the first calls. And I showed her Zoom pictures from the first calls to the last calls. And then she didn't need a refund anymore.
Because her face looked different.
And this is a very important distinction, is that especially for people who are interested in weight loss, is that it really isn't about weight loss. It's about fat metabolism. And so sometimes you can get a lot smaller and not lose weight because you've shed fat but gained muscle. You're smaller. You need new holes in your belt and you didn't lose any weight. And the problem, and we deal with this a lot in Wildfit, is there's some nasty conditioning that's been given to us about the number on the scale. It isn't actually about the number on the scale. It's about the body composition. And that's what she ran into, is that her number on the scale wasn't different, but when she saw the difference in her face, she's like, holy cow.
Yeah, so again, all of this is suitable. Now, just we'll answer a couple of questions. So remember, go to mindvalley.com. Let me just put up that website, mindvalley.com/Wildfit/special. That's where you'll get the special class. Okay, so this offer, go to mindvalley.com /Wildfit/special. This is where you save $600. You scroll down, just click join the program. Okay, and you can even pay in 3 installments. And by the way, you look over here, we'll see we're even giving you a further discount. It's $699. In the presentation, it said $899, but here it's $699. So I don't know if that's a bug or something from my team, but jump on this right now, okay? So I think it was $699 when we first launched, but I don't know. Maybe this is just right now for this webinar. Okay, now, is Wildfit, if normal diets didn't work in the past, will this still work for me?
This is such an interesting question, and we get this a lot. I want to make a really clear statement. This is not like anything anybody has ever done before. It is not a diet. And for the same reason that I said before, nobody here has ever failed a diet. The diets have failed them because they're fundamentally flawed. Wildfit will take you through a very carefully structured, effective, week-by-week system that's making subtle changes to your nutrition and subtle changes to your psychology. It absolutely will work.
I see. By the way, guys, I just realized why it's showing $699 for me. It's because I'm in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So one of the things that we forgot to mention is that we give a small discount to people who are in developing countries. In Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the income here is 1/5 what someone earns in the US, right? My mom was a Malaysian school teacher. She earned $400 a month. And so we give a discount to people in developing countries. So if you're in India or Indonesia or Malaysia, you will see that discount. It's true if you're in India as well. So that's why, as I mentioned earlier, I'm in my home, my apartment in Malaysia. That's why it's showing $699. So for those of you who are in the US, it's $899. As we mentioned, you will see $899. And I can see Raquel. Raquel is in Brazil. Brazil has a lower income than Malaysia. Brazil is $499. And the reason we do that is because we want to touch people all around the world. And our community is so much more richer when we have diversity. And so that's one of the reasons why we give discounts to people from developing countries, also because the earnings there are very different. $899 is more than an entire month's salary here in Malaysia. Okay, so that's where you can read all about Wildfit and participate in the program. Now, is Wildfit suitable for vegetarians and vegans?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was a vegan for many years, like 5 years or so, and let's understand that Wildfit is really about largely about healthy food and food psychology. And so, is it possible to be like an unhealthy junk vegan? Absolutely, it is, and it's actually really important when somebody makes a decision to be a vegan that they make certain optimizations. So I one day found on Facebook a group of like thousands of Wildfit vegans for Wildfit kind of a thing. There's no question about that. The one thing I will say is that there are some things that we'll share during the program that are not, say, vegan friendly. And so if you're like super ideologically vegan, it might not be the funnest experience for you, but it will open your eyes, and it will share you a bunch of things, and it will show you how to optimize your experience as a vegan or vegetarian.
Perfect. Okay, and by the way, my team just informed me that in India, in places like India, where the average income is much lower, it's Wildfit is $499. So I want you to know that, okay? Will Wildfit recommend me to take supplements? Because I know there are lots of diet programs out there, and then you've got to subscribe to a shake monthly subscription or a supplement monthly subscription or some protein pack. Does Wildfit do that?
No, and like I've had many business mentors and coaches over the years tell me I should do that. I should have supplements and all this kind of stuff, and it would be huge for our profitability. I did not build Wildfit for profitability. I built it to change people's lives. Now, I'm not against supplements, but what I would say is that the vast majority of supplements are sold as fads and fear, and so this is the Wildfit approach to supplements, is that the very first thing anybody should be doing long before they ever take any kind of a supplement. Remember, supplement means in addition to, not instead of. And a lot of people take their supplements instead of. So the first step is to right your relationship with food. Once you've righted your relationship with food, then there are a number of tests you can do that can help you to find out if you're low. And let's say you find, having righted your relationship with food, that you're low on, say, vitamin D. I would not suggest you jump out and get vitamin D supplements. I would suggest that you call a travel agent and go get some sun. And if failing a natural solution to your vitamin deficiency, if you can't fix it that way, then you turn to supplements. But I can tell you that on average, over 10 years now, on average, our clients report a $500 savings on prescription medication and supplements in their first year after Wildfit. That's the average.
That is crazy. That's beautiful. Okay, last one is, will I need to exercise? We've already addressed this, so we don't need to worry about it. Will Wildfit get rid of diseases?
This is a very important thing, and I want to be really clear that while we have many Wildfit coaches that are medical doctors around the world, and they've come to us for that training, and we are working with governments on helping them deal with things, I want to be really clear that we will not offer you any medical advice. Or let me put it this way, we might offer medical advice, but the medical advice we will offer you is get tested, talk to your doctor, see what's going on. Now, what I can tell you is that what is absolutely normal on Wildfit is to see improvements in the area of blood pressure, weight loss, obesity, diabetes, thyroid support, autoimmune condition, and inflammation. It's very common for us to see improvements in those areas. And so I don't want to make some grandiose statement of getting rid of disease, but I would suggest to you that initially as a complement for whatever you're doing to manage an injury or disease now, Wildfit will improve your body's ability to heal without question. And in some cases, it will actually replace the need for medication. This is very common relative to blood sugar, diabetes and so on. Like we routinely see people coming into this program that are pre-diabetic or diabetic that by about week 8 or 9, they are now medically classified as post-diabetic. That is to say, no longer in the diabetic range. So my answer is yes, and this is not medical advice.
Got it. And how should you prepare for the Wildfit program?
Vishen, this is so important. Look, you guys are going to get yourself registered. You're going to get the welcome emails and all the information. Always check your spam folder before you write to the help desk, because that's almost always where it is. But now let me address something more important. And I want to know in the chat, honestly, I want to hear from you guys in the chat. Some of you, when you sign up, you're the kind of person that will immediately start being really good. You know that the program starts, I think, is it August 7th? Vision, I think it is. So there are a bunch of you that are going to be like, hey, I know that it's coming up and I'm going to be really, really good. So tell me in the chat if you're the kind of person who's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to get registered and I'm going to be good and get started on it right now. Okay, now there's another group of you that are going to go the other way. Like you're gonna sign up and you're gonna head straight for the freezer and straight to the bad section of the grocery store, and you're going to binge. You're going to have a couple glasses of wine, some chocolate cake, and order pizza. So what I want you to know is this: change nothing. Just be yourself between now and then. And I'm going to tell you that I know that this is what happens when people are thinking of doing Wildfit, is that all they need to do is get to the place where they have just enough faith that they're willing to take a risk, right? Just enough faith that they're willing to take a risk. And I hope that I've shown you enough tools and resources, and you've seen enough testimonials. But now listen, this is so important. There's going to come a moment where you're going to know that this program works for you. Some of you have already gotten there. You've seen enough. You already know. But I can tell you right now, there's 3 moments when it's going to happen. One is when you watch the very first welcome video. I'm telling you right now, you're going to watch that video. You're going to go, oh, this is why this is going to work. You're going to get it. You're going to see it.
Right.
For another group of you, it's going to be after about the 14th day. And you're going to realize at that point that even if the program stopped dead there, even if you didn't watch another thing, your relationship with food will be permanently different after only the first 14 days. And then the next moment will be when it starts showing up in your body sometime between weeks 6 and 9. And then you're going to go, life will never be the same again.
Amazing. Thank you, Eric. And finally, how long does it take to see results?
Well, again, you're gonna see immediate psychological results in the first week. You're gonna learn some things about yourself in the first week that you'll see. Then you're gonna by about the 3rd or 4th week, you're gonna start to see smaller results. Like you might have a little sleeping better, and you might and psychologically you might be feeling a little better. The real results will kick in somewhere between week 6 and 8. And this is where you're definitely going to see lots of people reporting dramatically increased sleep quality. In fact, many of them say I'm sleeping less, but feeling better. You'll hear a lot of people talking about their weight or body size beginning to shift. Libido, that's a big one. Libido coming back strong, which is really great if you're both doing the program together. And so that's where and then of course, when you get into weeks 11, 12, and 13, that's where you're going to see really significant wholesale change. Many of you will will see such a significant change in your body and in your face that you'll almost be you'll be blown away. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So I actually did a Wildfit sprint. So after I did Wildfit the first time for 90 days, and then earlier this year around May, I did 4 weeks where I basically just ate Wildfit, right? So I want you to understand, after you do Wildfit, it's not like you are on a special diet. No, during Wildfit, there's a dramatic transformation. Then you can bring back some of the foods that you had removed. But sometimes after 1 year, maybe after Christmas dinners or whatever, you put on a little bit of weight. Because your body remembers how to tap into fat reserves, you go into Wildfit for about 2 weeks. And boom, you drop that weight. So typically after Christmas, during Christmas, I want to drink wine. I love, I live in Northern Europe where it's super cold, right? So our culture for Christmas is eat a lot of meat, drink a lot of wine. And then normally in January, I'll do Wildfit for about 2 weeks. and I lose that weight. But in May, I decided to do Wildfit for a second time. And I'm sharing this because someone asked in the group, why is it that some people do it again if it's so effective? I did it a second time and I lost around 2 kilograms or so of weight I put on between December and May. But I did it the second time to understand my biology. And I had a dramatic shift, Eric. I decided to permanently give up alcohol. Now, Wildfit, the first time I did it, cut down my alcohol by 70%, but I was still drinking maybe about 5 glasses of wine a week. After I did it the second time, I just lost all craving for alcohol. Every time I take wine right now, something feels off. But I sometimes, I'll still go out for dinner. I'll have half a glass of wine, maybe once a week, but giving up alcohol. And after I did Wildfit this second time, I just realized I had this incredible clarity and focus. I felt so good. I slept so much better. And so sometimes you'll do it a second time and you're only just doing it for about a week or so, but you still go through a transformation. So that's why you may repeat it. So again, that's how you can access Wildfit. And that is where you can get your special discount, mindvalley.com/Wildfit/special. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm so happy that we still have 1,000+ people live with us. And it's such an honor to be able to share this information with you. And Eric, thank you. Thank you for this product that you've brought to the world and the impact on life you've had for hundreds of thousands of people who have taken Wildfit at this point.
Thank you.
Okay, so go ahead, guys. That's the URL. Go ahead and sign up. And Eric, thank you. You're free to go back to whatever you were doing today. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm currently visiting my parents here in Malaysia, and it's almost 1 a.m. here.
Thanks, Vishen. Thank you guys all around the world. See you at the start. It's going to be amazing.
Take care, guys. Bye.